it's for Wendy, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays for whatever you celebrate. Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas. I'm sporting my ugliest sweater that I possibly own. Isn't it fabulous? I think it's fabulous. So you might be wondering why I haven't done a video already. Some might say... Some might guess that I was lazy. Others might assume that this was a purposeful fuck. What's the word? I plan to do it like this, but only I will know the truth if I meant to put out a video this late. But anyways, nothing too crazy for Christmas, but I felt bad not doing a Christmas video because I did nothing for Halloween. So, here's how I'm gonna make it up to you guys. You know, I thought Christmas Eve, time for giving and family, but I'm all by myself. So, what we're gonna do is curl up with a nice story. Well, I would say it's nice, but best I just explain. Well, when I was in elementary school, I really loved to write and draw. I still do those things, just not nearly as much as I used to, but I used to write in regular notebooks. They're just plain old notebooks, and I've managed to keep some over the years. And by some, I mean a lot. I don't think we're definitely not gonna get to all of these, but I think like almost every year from 3rd grade on to 8th grade, I did one notebook. And sadly, I don't have all of them, but I have quite a few, so, you know, I figured bad story time away! For our first story, we have an untitled piece of work. Yes. I've tried looking for a while, and there's absolutely no title. There's just chapters. Only chapters. And, like, besides that, like, the only thing there is about this is, like, a list for chapters and a name guide. Which, God, some of these names... MacLeod, Seat Stew? I think it was supposed to be, like, Sea Stew, but... there's something wrong with that. Key Mate Shemqui. That is the best one on here. Okay, well, I think that's enough, like, looking at the names, and I think it's time to read this one, which I actually remember nothing about. Some of these I vaguely recall, this one not at all. I have no idea. So, and I'll make sure to show you guys the pictures when I come across one. So anyways, Chapter 1, The Bad Beginning. The sun begins to rise and the water by the lake is calm. This may seem like the perfect place, but then something happens, and this once peaceful place is now a death waiting to happen. I am Komoto, and this is my story. Was I inspired by, like, Final Fantasy X or something? Because that's how this is starting out. Well, I guess we just gotta keep reading. I looked at the tires and watched the kids play. I smiled, but soon remembered those days were over. Komoto, the teacher snapped. Pay attention. Yes, ma'am. That's now his voice. I said... Now I have to read the whole thing in that voice, huh? I said politely, twiddling my thumbs. I looked outside again and wished I were still in elementary school. But I was 14 and had to be in the middle school. 14 and in middle school, huh? Let's see where we're going with this. Looking out the window again. Are we? The teacher asked. No, ma'am, I answered, but I couldn't help but look out the window with the thought of high school in my head. Next year, I would leave childhood behind me and go to high school to get a further education. This guy is really, like, we start out with this, it's going to be an epic journey, and then, I can't wait to go to high school! The teacher snapped it again as she stomped over to me. Must I remind you again? She asked. I turned my head and looked at her face. No, ma'am, I said, and then continued. then continued the lesson. Then she then continued. Okay, she then continued the lesson. So that makes more sense. I looked at the clock, waiting for it to strike 3 p.m. But it seemed the clock was moving slower than usual. Come on, you stupid clock. Turn 3 already! I said with a frown. Sheesh. Finally, the big hand landed on the 12 and the bell rang. I got up and grabbed my bag. Then I walked out of the dump, called the Western Bank Middle School. I couldn't think of a better name. We got all these crazy freaking names of Komoto and what was that one? We have Petois, but I couldn't come up with Western Bank Middle School. Okay. Oh, and you guys gotta see the picture that goes with. There is Komoto, waiting for the clock to strike 3. He looks very sad, and the fishes look like bow ties. As I entered, why do I keep changing his voice? We'll stick with this one, I guess. As I entered the door, my mom ran up to me.
Komoto, honey, you have to get out of here. Your father's angry.
My mom said. I knew my dad was not normal. Whenever my dad was angry, he would take it out on me by hitting me until I was bleeding. Good God, this got dark quick. But my mother would do anything to stop him if she were around. As I turned to the door, my dad burst in through the kitchen door. Then my mom ran over to me and squeezed me as close as she could to her. Give me that no good son of mine! My dad shouted. My mom just held me tighter.
He is my child because I'm the one who gave birth to him and you're not going to harm a single hair on his head.
My dad came closer to my mom and he started to grab me, but I held on to my mom. I remembered the only words I kept saying over and over was, please, don't let him hit me. Soon I started shouting it. Then my mom got up and pushed my dad away from me.
That's it, she shouted. For Komoto's sake, we are getting a divorce, and I am putting a restraining order on you, my mom started yelling at my dad, getting louder with every sentence. I couldn't take it, so I ran out the door. Wow, I'm literally only 2 pages into this, and we've already got threats of divorce. What can I say? Oh, jeez. As I walked, it started to sprinkle a little. I thought about heading back, but I knew they would still be yelling. But then I saw a little dog. It looked lost. So I picked it up, and I pet it. It licked me, and I thought it was the nicest thing anyone had ever done to me. Really, dude? A dog licks you. Nobody's given this guy a cupcake or something in class? Like, it sounds like, we really didn't get any backstory about what he's like, so it's, maybe everybody at school is an asshole to him, and so a dog licking him is the nicest thing that's ever happened to him. I put it back on the ground and decided to go sit in the park. But when I got there, it was pouring down rain, so I decided to go home. I walk inside, soaked. Mom, I'm back, I said. But no one replied, only silence filled the room. Mom, are you here? I asked. I knew at that point something was very wrong. I knew in heart. I knew in heart something had happened here. I looked on the end table and saw a knife covered with blood on it. When I saw that, my eyes began to tear up. I ran to the kitchen and saw my mom on the floor. I sat down beside her and ran my fingers through her hair. A little bit creepy for a child, don't you think? Mom, I said, sobbing. I lifted her torso and hugged her as I started to cry. Oh no, Mom, please, don't leave me, I said, still crying. How could this happen, I asked myself. Well, you did leave your mom and run away. You probably could have helped her out against whatever happened. I looked at her necklace and took it off her neck. Then I put it in my pocket. That's a lot of thens. And then I felt someone touch my shoulder. I turned my head and saw my dad. He looked at me with greed and anger in his eyes. "You monster! How could you kill your own wife?" I said as tears ran down the side of my face. My dad picked me up by my hair despite my screams.
"Watch your mouth, boy,"
my dad snapped.
"She was going to make it so I couldn't see you anymore, Komodo. I couldn't let her do that. I love you."
I looked at my dad with anger. "You don't love me. You only want to make someone younger than you upset so you can feel better about yourself." Cause that's the ultimate goal of it's the ultimate goal of adults who do this sort of thing. I'm sorry if this subject is sensitive to anyone, but the way this is written is just making me laugh. I'm quite enjoying this. I said, trying to get him to let go of my hair. He pulled out a knife near my throat and looked at me angrily.
"You'd better shut it up before you end up just like her,"
he yelled. I frowned and I spat in his face. He let me go, and I ran out the front door. I ran down the wet street as my dad ran behind me. I started to cry again as I ran, and soon my dad stopped chasing me. I ran about 2 miles. Jesus Christ, 2 miles is a long way to run. I ran about 2 miles, then stopped. I fell to my knees and whipped. Not even whipped. Whipped the tears off my face. I continued to cry on the side of the road. I didn't care who saw me. I couldn't help but cry. I pulled out the necklace from my pocket and looked at it. "I'm a survivor," I said as I held the necklace. I put it back in my pockets as I lied in the grass. Soon I felt tired, but there was nowhere dry or warm I could sleep. I felt like a lost dog that had no clue where it was and was cold and wet. Where it was and was cold and wet. Fabulous grammar. Then in the distance I saw a light. I tried to yell to the car, but my throat was sore from screaming. I started to shiver, and it turned night as I waited to see if the car would stop. Luckily, the car saw me and stopped in front of me. The person got out and looked at me. They frowned and came up to me. There's a lot of me's in these sentences. "What's your name?" "Komodo," I answered, and as I looked at her, oh, the female. "Come on, get in the car, I'll take you to my house to dry off," she said as she opened the car door. I had been told to never go with strangers, but I was desperate. I got in the car with the woman, and then we took off. God, the more I'm reading this, the more my brain is just like freaking frying. Are we almost to the end of this chapter? I had been told never to go with strangers, but I was desperate, yada yada yada. I walked inside the warm house with glee. The house looked inviting and very comfortable, but I was still soaked terribly. But she went upstairs and grabbed some clothes for me and handed them to me. "I think you're the same size as my nephew," she said. "Why don't you try those on? I took the necklace apparently I forgot to end a quotation there. That would be why I'm confused. I took the necklace out as I went to her bathroom. Computer, don't freeze up on me. I took the necklace out as I went to her bathroom to change. I handed her my wet clothes, and she said she would wash them for me. Apparently I'm butt naked as I'm handing her my clothes because there's no mention of me putting on clothes. And now I am naked with only the necklace around my neck as I plop down on the couch. I sneezed and realized I caught a cold from standing in the rain. This is a lot of just... But I didn't care, really. The woman handed me a blanket and she sat down beside me. What's your name? Oh, no, that's... What's your name? I asked her as I held the blanket tightly. I'm Relena, she answered. Can you tell me why you were standing in the rain? Relena asked. I looked away from her because I started to sob. Well, I started, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her. She looked at me sadly. I see. Never mind if it's that sad. But if you need a place to stay, you're welcome to stay here, Relena said, as she put her arm around me. Thanks, I said, as I coughed, then I sneezed again. Relena giggled, then got up and went upstairs. Then a little boy came from the hallway and walked over to me. Who are you? The boy asked. Komodo, I answered. You look about the age of one of my cousins, the boy said, as he hopped up onto the couch. My mom usually doesn't let people stay here, the boy said as he looked at me. She must have been kind-hearted today. Relena came downstairs and picked up the boy. Sorry, my son... Oh, wait, what the fuck voice was it? Sorry, my son is kind of chatty, Relena said, as she put the boy in another room. I sat there, my eyes droopy. Relena then grabbed a pillow and handed to me. You can sleep on the couch, she said, with a smile. I lied down and closed my eyes, and soon I fell asleep. And we have one more picture with our chapter. There is Komodo, and apparently this is Relena's son, who I'm not quite sure what age he's supposed to be, because I can't even tell where they are in retrospect to space. His hair I wonder if I was really, inspired by Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something, because his hair's really giving me a Yu-Gi vibe. I don't know about you guys. Any of you guys have seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I think that's all I'm going to, all I'm going to read, but I will, share with you a picture of him a little bit older. Apparently, chapter 2, we start going on to the adult life of Kimono, who now looks strangely like another character that I actually care about, which is really funny to me. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that outfit. Alright, well, there we go. Story 1. There's chapter 1 of our first story, which I feel like we missed out on some juicy bits, considering some of the wonderful, wonderful artwork we have going on in here. There's just oodles and oodles of wonderful artwork to accompany us in this journey, which, I'm not even sure. Everybody must dress like it's the apocalypse, or that they can't have enough accessories, because that's what it feels like. Alright, well, maybe one of these days I'll actually read through this and try and figure out what this story is about, because so far, these pictures... Is anybody getting a story from these? Can you piece together a story with the pictures I'm providing? I really honestly have no clue what the story is about or what happened. I'm sure some sort of heroics happened, and then things were fine. Probably had something to do with the magical necklace his mother gave him. Actually, I didn't realize how long that took. Oh my god. So I think that's gonna be it for this video, to be honest. I mean, I could just chop up the story into little tiny bits, but it would still make no sense. But I think that part of the beauty of it is listening to the whole thing, and it's definitely, I can tell now that I've read it that I definitely wrote that in middle school. I definitely didn't write that prior to 5th grade. It had to be 6th or 7th. That is my guess. My final guess, after reading that. But boy, let me know if you guys want me to read any more of these terrible, old stories from school.
I guess that one wasn't that bad, but it was super cliche. There was definitely grammar errors and all that which you would expect with old writing. But I mean, do you want me to read more of that one? Do you want me to read any more? Because I definitely have more. There are still so many more. I even have, like, this animal book from when I was, like, probably, like, 5. I remember making this in, like, 1st grade, except I can't show any pictures. Yeah, my 1st grade animal book. So that's another thing maybe I could share with you guys sometime. But, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the story. And if you did, please poke that like button and subscribe today for more derpy, awesome fun. And I will see you guys in the next video.